I never thought a parking spot could ruin my peace, my reputation, and my sanity all in 1 week. But that's exactly what happened when my car got towed right in front of my neighbors thanks to the queen of our HOA, Karen Walsh. And trust me, when karma finally came for her, it was louder than the tow truck that took my car. I had only been living in Willow Creek Estates for 3 months. It was one of those neighborhoods that looked perfect: white fences, trimmed lawns, people waving as they jogged by. But underneath all that order and politeness, there was control. The kind of control that wore pastel blazers, carried a clipboard, and smiled while ruining your day. Her name was Karen Walsh, our HOA president. You could always spot her marching around the cul-de-sac like a general inspecting her troops. And I was just the new guy, Ethan Parker, freelance designer, minding my own business and trying to fit in. The first time she spoke to me, she didn't even say hello. I was helping my elderly neighbor unload boxes into the community hall, and my car was parked just a few feet away, apparently in a spot reserved for special use. The paint was faded, the sign crooked. I didn't think much of it, but Karen did. She strutted up, sunglasses perched like armor, clipboard clutched like the law itself. "Do you know what you've done?" she snapped. I blinked, confused. "You parked in a restricted space, Mr. Parker. That's a violation of Section 7.3 in the HOA handbook." I told her I'd move it right away, that it was a simple misunderstanding. She didn't care. She raised her phone, took pictures of my car, my license plate, even me. "Evidence," she said like she was narrating an episode of Cops. "Expect a notice by morning." I laughed it off at first. Everyone told me Karen was just doing her job. But when I opened my mailbox the next day, there it was, a formal violation letter, $250 fine, signed by her personally. I stood there on my porch reading it twice, thinking, this can't be real. But it was. And that was just the beginning. The next few weeks felt like living under surveillance. Every morning, Karen would walk past my house snapping pictures of my trash cans, pointing at my lawn like she was documenting a crime scene. One day she left a note taped to my door. "Your grass exceeds the community height standard." It was 2 inches tall. 2 inches. At first I tried to keep calm, told myself it wasn't worth the fight. But the constant harassment started to wear me down. I began second-guessing every move, where to park, what time to mow, even how long I could leave my porch light on. It was like living in a gated dictatorship. Then came the day that broke me. I came home one afternoon and my car was gone. I thought it had been stolen. I was standing in my driveway stunned when I saw a tow truck turning the corner, and right there at the entrance of the street stood Karen, arms crossed, that smug little grin plastered on her face. I stormed over. "Did you tow my car?" She looked at me like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Your vehicle was parked in a restricted visitor area without authorization. I followed protocol." "Protocol," I shouted. "You didn't even give me a warning." Her smile didn't waver. "Warnings are discretionary. Read your handbook." Then she walked away, heels clicking like punctuation marks. I felt humiliated, angry, but mostly helpless. I didn't even know who to turn to. I called the HOA office, no answer. Emailed the board, no response. It was like she had the whole neighborhood under her thumb. When I finally tracked down the towing company, the guy on the phone said something that made my stomach drop. "We didn't get any city authorization, man. Just a signed request from your HOA president. No cop, no citation." That night I sat in my living room staring at the letter she'd sent me, the one with her signature on it. My car wasn't just gone, it was stolen under her orders. I started to wonder, was I overreacting? Maybe I did break a rule I hadn't read. Maybe she was just doing her job. But then I met Martha. Martha lived 2 houses down. She was in her 70s, used a cane, and walked slower than most people drove golf carts. One evening she stopped me as I was bringing in my mail. "You're not the first," she said quietly. She towed my car too while I was parked in the handicap spot. I had the tag, but she said it looked expired. She humiliated me in front of everyone. Martha handed me a flash drive. I recorded her. That changed everything. I plugged it into my computer that night, and there it was. Karen's voice, sharp and proud, ordering a tow truck driver to remove that eyesore even after Martha tried to show her permit. I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. She was abusing her power. Over the next week, I started collecting proof. Screenshots of her emails, video clips from doorbell cameras, testimonies from neighbors she'd fined for nonsense reasons. The more I dug, the more I realized how deep her control went. She'd rewritten rules, bypassed votes, even signed off on fines that never went through the HOA treasury. She was the HOA. Still, part of me hesitated. I wasn't a lawyer, and Karen played dirty. What if she turned everyone against me? What if I lost my home over this? One night I almost deleted everything. I told myself to let it go, to pay the fines and move on. But then I saw Martha struggling up her driveway, cane trembling in her hand, and I thought if I don't stop her, no one will. So I decided to fight back. The next monthly HOA meeting was packed. Karen sat at the head of the long table, clipboard, ready, her usual smirk in place. I walked in carrying a small USB drive and a manila folder. She glanced up at me and muttered, "Mr. Parker, please keep your comments brief. We have a full agenda tonight." "Oh, don't worry," I said. "This won't take long." When the time came for open discussion, I stood. My voice shook at first, but I steadied it. "I have a few questions about the towing procedures in our community," I began. Specifically, whether the HOA president has the authority to order a private towing company without municipal approval. Karen's expression hardened. "All actions were taken within my rights as president," she said smoothly. "Really?" I pulled out my phone, connected it to the projector, and hit play. Her own voice filled the room. "I don't care if she has a handicap tag, tow it. I'm the HOA president. I make the calls." Gasps echoed through the room. Someone whispered, "Is that real?" Karen's face went pale, then red. She slammed her clipboard down. "This is out of context," she barked. "Oh, there's more," I said, clicking to the next clip, security footage of her waving the tow truck toward my driveway. Then I laid down the stack of violation letters, the ones signed without approval from the board. "You've been using HOA authority like your personal weapon. You've fined people, illegally forged signatures, and harassed residents." The board members started murmuring. One of them, a man named Dennis, spoke up. "Karen, did you really authorize these without consulting us?" Her voice trembled now. "I did what I had to do to maintain order. Without me, this place would fall apart." I looked around the room. "Order isn't tyranny," I said quietly. "We just want to live without being afraid of our own neighborhood." For the first time since I'd met her, Karen didn't have an answer. She looked small, cornered, exposed. The woman who'd once strutted around like a queen now stood frozen, watching her empire crumble. The board called for a vote right there. It was unanimous. Karen was stripped of her position, effective immediately, pending a full audit. The sound of her name being read off the minutes felt like a door slamming shut. She gathered her things in silence, muttering under her breath as she left the room. The door clicked behind her, and the tension seemed to lift like a heavy fog. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just sat down, feeling the weight of everything settle inside me. The anger, the fear, the vindication. My car had been towed. My patience stretched thin, but I'd gotten something better than revenge. I got my peace back. Later, someone asked me what I planned to do next. I just said, "Probably repaint my lawn fence." They laughed, but I wasn't joking. I just wanted normal again. Karen moved out a few weeks later. Rumor had it she tried to start another HOA across town, but word traveled fast. No one wanted her kind of order anymore. As for me, I still live in Willow Creek. Sometimes when I walk past that same parking spot, the one that started it all, I still feel the echo of that first humiliation. But now, it doesn't sting. It reminds me that silence only feeds bullies, and sometimes the smallest battles, like a parking spot, can expose the biggest tyrants. Because in the end, the real power isn't on a clipboard. It's in the courage to say, "Enough."